Welcome back. You're watching News Center. Corporate social responsibility spending in India is projected to triple and exceed 1.2 lakh crore rupees annually by 2035. This would make it the largest pool of philanthropic capital in the country. The finding is based on a Convergence Foundation report, which observed the earnings growth of the top 100 listed companies. The report highlighted the rise of catalytic funding directed to organizations which support governments in strengthening public systems. India was the first country in the world to legally mandate corporate social responsibility in 2014. Joining me now to speak about this report and more is founder and CEO of the Convergence Foundation, Ashish Dhawan. Ashish, the importance of CSR in the current context. You know, you're seeing immense geopolitical volatility, trade uncertainty and restrictions on H-1B visas. How can CSR be more impactful and create real change and help India, especially when it comes to addressing our vulnerabilities?
No, so it's a great moment. As you know, CSR spend right now is 30,000+ crore, almost 33,000 crore. We estimate that at a regular growth rate of profits, it should reach about 1.2 lakh crore by 2035. So it is significant now. It started with a small amount 10 years ago, but it's quite a meaningful amount today. And government actually is spending 26 lakh crore on the social sector. So CSR today is about 1.3% of government spend in the social sector. So I think CSR spend is important because it's almost like a catalyst. It's that catalytic capital that can add to what the government is already doing, which can really help accelerate India's goal to attain the SDGs. India is already doing well. I think irregardless of tariffs, irregardless of H-1B, why can't we ensure that we attain our malnutrition goals, our gender goals, our education goals, etc.? And CSR can clearly play a role with regards to that.
Your report also points out that CSR spends may be small right now compared to the 23 lakh crore social spending by the government. But if we combine the two, that is corporate CSR with government social spending, then this can be a catalytic force. Which company CSR policy or models, according to you, and the examples of corporate social responsibility and a partnership with government stand out for you?
So I'll give you a few examples. First, if you look at Axis Bank Foundation, their 170 crore CSR investment in something called Mission 4 Million, it leveraged NREGA funding from government, almost 5,000 crore from government, and also they brought in other CSR, other corporates as well. So they got a 30x multiplier in their goal, towards their goal of creating 4 million livelihoods in India. So this is a good example of not just working with government, but actually working with other companies as well. Bharti Airtel Foundation, so they are running their own schools, the Satya Bharti schools. Those schools have about 40,000 children. They then decided, based on the know-how they have in their schools, to start the quality support program to support government schools in the states that they work in. And now they actually impact 2.8 million children as opposed to the 40,000 through their own schools. Again, because of this partnership with government, this idea of working systemically. A last example I'll give you is Bajaj Finserv. They work on skilling, and they have something called Project Catalyst, which is multi-skill vocational education. And, you know, as opposed to just the direct impact of 10,000 students, which is where they started initially, now, by again working in a systemic way, a catalytic way, they impact 1.3 million students. So these are just three examples of large companies that have achieved scale of 1 to 4 million in terms of impact in the areas that they work in, which is skilling, education and livelihoods.
Also, how do you think we can achieve scale with CSR, and which would be some of the sectors where CSR spends will be most impactful?
So I think companies are very interested in education. It's already, as you've seen the data, the number one spend area for CSR. Government already spends about 8 lakh crore on education. So I think here there's a great opportunity for partnership between CSR and government. The new education policy came out in 2020. Government is looking to implement that. Nipun Bharat, which works on Bunyadi Shiksha, foundational learning. So I think there are lots of avenues for CSR to plug in to a very large government mission and work at scale. And there's a lot of interest from the side of corporates. A second area is skilling. I think companies need talent. They recognize that skills is a pain point. And so they're very passionate about it. Large companies like Infosys, Bajaj have prioritized skilling as an important area. So here, again, there's the opportunity. Government had this skills mission. Now they're working on apprenticeships, internships. But in addition to working with government, I think there's the opportunity to create a large-scale collaborative amongst the corporates themselves, that they can pool their resources, come together, pool their know-how, and work together at much bigger scale. Tens of millions as opposed to just a few million. And a third area is healthcare, where corporates are very interested. And again, working at the grassroots level, primary health centers, looking at improving malnutrition, women's health, child health. These are all important areas.
Also, you spoke about skilling. In the last few years, we have seen this race for artificial intelligence and high-tech manufacturing. But there is a skill gap, and there is also a need to upgrade industrial training institutes across the country. How can CSR spends help in bridging the skill deficit in areas where China has an advantage?
No, I think it's a very valid point that you made. So I think government is seized of the opportunity. If you look at two areas, one is ITIs. Lots has been tried. There are about 4,000 government ITIs. But government has now said, let's pick a smaller set of ITIs and 1,000 ITIs. And they've come up with a new 60,000 crore scheme where there's going to be a public-private partnership. Central government puts in 30,000 crore, state governments 20,000 crore, and corporates will chip in 10,000 crore. Now, these corporates will willy-nilly look at how do we get people future ready. So I think corporates are better equipped at bringing in the know-how in terms of how do you leverage AI, how do you make people AI literate and skilled for a human plus AI. So you can leverage AI to the fullest. So that's in the context of the ITIs. And then you have this apprenticeship scheme, NAPS and NATS, which are run by two different ministries, the Skills Ministry, the Education Ministry. And in addition, we have a PM internship scheme. I think in all of those, it's a chance for students to now work in companies as an apprentice or an intern. And again, companies, you can learn cutting-edge skills, upgrade yourself, and be future ready. So I think these are two ways where there's a real partnership opportunity between government and the private sector for future ready skills.
Also, what developments do you expect in the CSR ecosystem in India in the coming 5 years?
So I think one is the quantum of funds is going to go up in the next 5 years, probably from 34,000 crore to 60,000 crore. So fairly large scale. Second is, I see that we went through the teething problems the first 10 years. Now corporates no longer look at it as a compliance. Early on, I think they came at it grudgingly, saying government has put this burden on us. How do I do it? There were lots of teething problems. Now the companies have gotten themselves organized. So what I see different in the next 3 years is 5 years is three things. One is, I think, greater commitment from top leadership. We just did a forum 2 hours ago, 8:30 in the morning, where we had 10 CEOs come in, and all of them were talking about how they personally sponsor CSR in their company. So Amitabh Chaudhary at Axis Bank, Hitendra from HSBC, many other leaders were in the room today. So I think that top leadership sponsorship, the sponsorship of the board, that's something that I see. Second is, I think right now, if I look at it, the CSR leader in the company doesn't have the same power as the CTO or the CHRO or the CFO. They're often someone who's just been thrust into that role. In the next 5 years, I see the CSR leader having a seat at the table, much like any other CXO within the company. And right now, only 10%, as I said, of companies have hired top-notch people. I think they need to pay up, they need to invest in talent, given the scale. And finally, I think the idea that you need to measure, you need to monitor these projects and really look at driving for impact and working long-term, not just working for a year or two, but working for 10 years in a focused area and measuring, monitoring regularly. That's a change that I see. Companies no longer just want to spend the money, they want to see impact.
That's all the time we had on this edition of News Center. More news and updates when we return.